Good evening, all, and a very, very warm welcome to the Muscle Health Foundation Charity's 19th episode in Series 2 of our In Conversation with broadcasts, hosted by myself, Michael McGrath. If you're joining us for the very first time, a warm welcome to you all to tonight's show. As many of you will know, these conversations are designed to speak first and foremost to our community across the UK, children and young people between the ages of 8 and 28 who have the muscle wasting disease, muscular dystrophy. And of course, they're an opportunity for families and those with an interest or perhaps a connection with a guest to also tune in. So to all the mums and dads, uncles and aunties, brothers and sisters, PAs and carers, our charity friends, partners, supporters, donors, and all of our amazing volunteers, welcome to you all. As always, we want these conversations to inform and uplift. And I can promise you tonight, we're going to be doing a little bit of that. But we also want to reach new audiences, right, in attracting desperately needed support for our work during these still uncertain and challenging times. Before we welcome tonight's VIP guest, a few quick housekeeping points. Firstly, a safeguarding note. We have eyes over tonight's show streaming live on the charity's Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn channels. So if any inappropriate comments are observed, action will be taken. And secondly, all In Conversation with shows are recorded, which means that our wonderful audiences anywhere in this country or indeed anywhere on the planet can watch any of them whenever they want to. And get this, with over 34 shows, yes, 34 shows to watch, why not head over to the charity's YouTube channel, search for Dreammaker657, don't forget the double M in the middle, and hit the subscribe button. We really, really don't want anyone to miss out on any future shows. Plus, I'm going to let you all into a little secret tonight. There's a third series starting in March 2022, which will see 12 shows take place, one a month. And I'm really pleased to say that we've already secured a few pretty cool guests in next year's lineup. So, speaking of pretty cool guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's my real privilege to introduce tonight's In Conversation with guest, a person whose life changed forever when he was just 17 years old. And after finishing his AS levels in 2009, a celebratory holiday with his friends in Portugal left him paralyzed from the shoulders down when a dive into the sea caused irreparable damage to his spinal cord. Despite several months in hospital, many major operations, multiple life-threatening illnesses, and the colossal day-to-day challenges, tonight's guest speaks about his own adversity as a gift. Today, through sheer determination and humongous amounts of application, undoubtedly, he's become a celebrated artist, author, and speaker whose positive, can-do attitude has won over many advocates, many fans, from the likes of rugby star Johnny Wilkinson, TV show host Jonathan Ross, to British philanthropist, author J.K. Rowling. Can I ask you all, please, to give it up a very, very warm and heartfelt welcome to this evening's guest, Henry Fraser, math artist, author, and motivational speaker. Hi, Henry.
Hi, Michael. Thank you very much for having me, and thank you for that incredible intro as well. Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. Welcome. So, listen, how's it going?
Oh, good, thank you. Yes, at the moment things are going quite nicely. I had a nice chill day today, ready for tonight.
Excellent. Well, look, now before we get going, I've got to ask, of the three J's, okay, namely Johnny Wilkinson, Jonathan Ross, and J.K. Rowling, all of whom, by the way, are in the house tonight. I'm actually joking. Which one would you most like to paint?
Well, I've actually done two of
you?
Jay. I think he's probably think I've become like a weird obsessive stalker of him now, I think. It was actually the very first thing I drew on the iPad and the very first actual painting I did as well. Yeah, growing up as a rugby fan all my life, it was kind of felt only right to link that up with the great man himself.
Absolutely, absolutely. So listen, Henry, where are you in the UK?
Currently in a little village near Watford is, I guess, kind of the place most people know. Yeah, in my parents' house at the moment still, but yeah, nice little quiet place away.
Very good. So I know you're a Hertfordshire man, right?
Oh yeah, through and through. Yeah.
Excellent. Good stuff. Good stuff. So, how's life been for you and the family during these testing times?
To be honest, I mean, not too bad. I mean, luckily last year, obviously, when it all kind of kicked off and started, it was lucky we had the weather on our side and we have outdoor space here, so we're able to enjoy the sun. We're very lucky that we're able to sit outside
Nice.
and just enjoy the sunshine, enjoy the heat. And for me, it was about early on, kind of not. I decided early on not to kind of think about when this whole thing might end, or the end moment where we can all be out and free again. Because no one knew, and it can be, as we've seen, it can be quite overwhelming having all these things happen and change. And that day get pushed back, so I decided to reduce it down to kind of enjoying each day as it was, finding kind of new things to do, to try. I kind of went into my paintings quite heavy and just many hours, many days at my easel, just in my own little world, I guess, my own bubble.
Your own bubble. So listen, are you one of those individuals that wants mandatory mask wearing? That's a yes/no question, really.
Um, at the moment, it would be unpopular, but yes, I'd say it's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'd lie if I say I kind of, if I was out and about in public space, I'd be quite worried if there's loads of people without the mask on. And it's one of those things that I think it's not hard to do really. It's not it's kind of tougher things in life we have to go through, and wearing a mask kind of isn't really one of them.
Yeah, absolutely. So, listen, Henry, I would like to kick off tonight's show with a very short film, appropriately named "Defeat is Optional."
Facing tempest and death, I'll fight until the end. Creatures of my dreams raise up and dance with me.
Such stirring music. Henry, you've described your own adversity as a gift, and that every day is a good day, right? Take us back, if you wouldn't mind, to that holiday in Portugal, to July the 18th, 2009, and the events that unfolded. Tell us a little more.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was any day that we've all had at the beach, playing around with. I was just with my mates, chucking a rugby ball around. It was boiling hot. We're down in the Algarve, south of Portugal, midsummer. It's roasting. I decided to go cool off in the sea, kind of different part of the beach that day to the previous few days we've been down there, and kind of followed my friends into the water. Kind of went to the side of where they were, and as I've run into the sea to what I thought was a good depth, and I dived forward, and where I assumed the seabed would continue to trail off and get deeper. Just kind of head first straight into a sandbank, basically. And at that point, kind of blacked out for a bit, where I hit my head and opened my eyes, expecting to kind of be up, standing out the water, turning around, running back to the beach with my mates, and start planning that night out, where we're going to go, the time, where we're going to eat. But I opened my eyes, just staring it through the sea at my kind of lifeless arms just hanging in front of me, really, just through the crystal clear water at my arms and the seabed, and that was it. And yeah, at that point, it was a pretty terrifying time, to say the least. You're kind of swearing panicking, just desperate to kind of change that situation. Lucky I kind of managed to turn my head slightly to one side, kind of mouth half out of the water. A couple of my friends close by, and as far as I came, managed to say, barely get the word no out, and they just dragged me onto the beach. And from that moment on, that's when it all, kind of my entire life changed, really. It was from there, dragged off the beach. The ambulance arrived, took me to a place where I could be then airlifted from the south of France up to Lisbon. So then I was completely alone. No friends, no familiarity at all with me. And word managed to get to my parents, so they flew out the following day to be with me after a time of just trying to go around every hospital in Lisbon trying to find where I was. But at that point, it was, the next 3 weeks went to Portugal, found out I dislocated a vertebra in my neck, which, as it slid out of place, subsequently dragged the spinal cord with it, severely crushing, obviously, all the nerves in there and leaving me with the paralysis I have now. And that was the first surgery went wrong, left me in a pretty awful state. Luckily, the second one, a week later, was more successful. But yeah, that kind of time in Portugal's a few touch and go moments. But, luckily I was well enough to be flown back home to then spend the next 6 months trying to work my way to get as fit, as strong as possible, to get out of hospital and get back to the real world, I guess, and start living my life again. A new one, but still my life.
A new one, but a different one, right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still, it's still me, but I just have to do things a bit differently these days. It's just have to kind of adapt to the new situation. And, it's one of those things you just learn. You always have to adapt when you're in these situations. You kind of just constantly having to work your way through different challenges, be creative with life and just with everything, I guess.
Just go back a step to when you were flown over from Portugal back to the UK. Where did you go?
So I was flown to Stoke Mandeville Hospital,
Okay.
the National Spinal Unit,
Yep.
and I was flown there, then taken to intensive therapy, ITU for 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, somewhere around that time. Kind of lost track of all time now. But yeah, and then it was up through the acute ward and then the rehab ward, and then finally home.
One of the things I wanted to pick out from this particular slide that's up there is this was from your Instagram feed, and you wrote, for those that can read it there, it says, "My accident may look like it's taken from me, but it's given me so much. A confidence I never had, a way of dealing with problems I struggled with before my accident. Happiness." Just tell us a little bit more about that perspective.
Yeah, I mean, before my accident, I was a very different person. The way I approached life, the way I thought about life. I defined my kind of pre-accident life through my physicality, through my sport, through my strength in the gym, and all those things. I guess those are things I guess I knew that I was good at. I never really kind of looked at the mental side of things, but I did kind of had a lot of anxiety, had a lot of worry, a lot of things I never really dealt with, never really kind of spoke about at the time. I never really asked for help. I always saw asking for help as a kind of as a weakness, as a thing. So I never, with homework, schoolwork, I never do it. But it just caused me more stress than was needed. If I just turned and said, "Can you help me with this?" Turn to a mate, turn to a teacher, family member, anyone. And then suddenly, when I had my accident, obviously my physicality's gone. That side of me is completely gone. I had to move that kind of strength from my body into my mind and learn to do things in a different way and look at life in a different way. And it was, it doesn't suddenly happen overnight. It's not a kind of simple trick that it just suddenly happens. It took time.
Sure. But
it's forced me to approach life in a completely different way, to rather than going into situations worrying about the worst possible outcome, it's about thinking about, what are the positive things that might come of this? How can I benefit if I do this? Not how is it going to negatively affect my life if I do and fail. And
I'm not-
the failure is, I'm not seeing failure as a bad thing anymore. It's just a chance to go, well, either it didn't work and I didn't enjoy it and I know not to do it again, or go, oh, I kind of enjoyed that, but what I need to do differently next time to make it more enjoyable, to kind of better myself doing it. And those little things come along the way. And public speaking is one of those things in my life that I never would have done had I not had the accident. But it's completely changed my life.
Am I right in thinking that you were on Saracens books when you were 17, together with your brother Will? Is that right?
Yeah, so I joined at the age of 14, as did two of my other brothers. So I was there for a few years. I mean, I wouldn't say I would have made it pro. I most likely wouldn't have, but we can't really disprove that now, so I can always say it.
What position did you play?
I was a flanker come centre, a bit of a hybrid player, I guess.
So breaking off the scrum quickly and hammering the scrum half.
Yeah, luckily I was quite quick and agile, and I had semi-decent skills, so it allowed me to kind of float around and didn't really have to do too much of the heavy stuff, which is nice.
Good stuff. So listen, you're the third of 4 brothers, is that right?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So I don't know if your brothers are tuning in, but we found this lovely photograph on your feed. So this is a shout out to your brothers. Who are they?
Yeah, sorry, I'm just looking at the hairstyles. It's all over the shop. Well, I guess left to right, long-haired one with the beard is Will. He's number 2. Then me and the blonde. Then the youngest one, and then on the end is the oldest one, Tom. So Will, me, Dom, and then Tom.
Got it. And in your first book, The Little Big Things, which I've just finished reading, you speak about your brothers being, and I quote, fantastically close and fiercely competitive, with an invisible thread that connects you wherever you are, which I just thought was, I think it's just a lovely thing you said there about your. Tell us more.
Yeah, I mean, growing up, obviously us being 4 boys, and my dad being an avid sportsman. My mum's a very active woman as well. It was, I guess, sport was the natural kind of route for us. And when we were young, we were always playing kind of 2-on-2 in the garden in any sport. We'd find any game to play. We got lucky, we had this big garden, but bizarrely, most of our games seemed to revolve around playing cricket on the decking, or rugby on the driveway, or all contact rugby in the living room, and all these stupid things that brothers do with each other. But I guess made us closer for it, even though it always end up in argument somewhere. But we always spent, our parents are very kind of good at make us spending time with each other. We, it was just nice to have brothers that are close to you. And then we were always very close. And obviously once I had my accident, it was, suddenly it was for us amazingly even closer together than we ever were or ever thought possible, I guess. And, the first day they came and saw me after my accident, it was the day after I first landed back in England, and I was in intensive therapy. And obviously I hadn't seen them in 4.5 weeks. Last time they saw me, I was this fit and healthy 17-year-old boy. They're about to walk into a room with me, ventilator in my throat, multiple drips to go into my body, kind of just, stuff just keeping me alive, really. And obviously when we first saw each other, it was a highly emotional moment. We all just started crying. We were all in pieces. And, we had never shared, obviously, a moment like that, but a moment where we've all been emotional together. Again, growing up 4 boys, we never really did those things. We shared many moments together, but nothing really emotional like that. And I think us feeling that together, experiencing that moment together, sharing our tears together, was a huge huge moment for us all. And I think it allowed us early on to move on pretty quickly to being brothers again. It allowed us to kind of rip each other to pieces again, to mock each other, because we didn't hold anything back in that first moment. We didn't try and cover up the fact. We all knew it was a bad situation, and we didn't try and hide that. And there have been immense along the way. Will, at that point, had just signed his first professional contract out of school, so he was training every day at Saracens, and he would come up to see me after training. Dom was in his first GCSEs, so obviously he was having to study hard at school. He'd come up to school. My oldest brother, Tom, was in final year at uni, and he would drive home every weekend to come and spend time with me in hospital every weekend, and when I came home as well. And, you know, those things are incredible. Those things, well, kind of, it's hard to put into words how much those moments help, and having them around. Still now, we still share incredible moments together. We still love our time together. We still laugh. We still are stupid brothers together. We're still competitive together. We still are brothers.
There was a card that I think you received many cards and many letters from both people that you knew, but also people you didn't know. And there was one I was particularly touched by, which was a card from one of your school buddies. And the card began with a quote from St. Francis of Assisi. Then the words were, "Start by doing what's necessary, then do what's positive, and suddenly you're doing the impossible." And there was something in that moved you. Is that right?
Yeah, it was a time when I was receiving a lot of cards from people I didn't know, kind of kids in the junior school at the school I was at the time. And that one, when I received that, and you know, I pretty much cried every single card I received. But that was, that quote suddenly, you know, I guess it kind of just laid bare what I needed to do, how I needed to focus. And, you know, at the time, I was still on a lot of medication. I was still kind of a bit all over the shop. I'm not really knowing what was happening. But it kind of gave me a bit of focus. And it's something that, you know, as I was starting to move my way through the hospital, through the different stages, just kept coming back to. That. And yeah, it was it was something, I just guess the mantra I used through my time in hospital to kind of push me on and drive me.
I think when I read what it was you said to your parents as they stood by your bedside, and I think you said something along the lines of, "I'm really sorry, Mum and Dad, I've done the most stupid thing," and that absolutely got me. You know, in that moment, where do you begin, right? How do you move forwards from that moment in time to a place of gratitude, to seeing those little big things, to that place of acceptance that you described so beautifully in your book, and where you call the art of striving gives meaning to kind of wearing your own wisdom, right? Where every day is a good day, which is such a wonderful little catchphrase, but it just resonates, I'm sure, with many, many people.
Yeah, I mean, I guess me saying that to my parents, I guess, was a snapshot of how my mind worked before I've been through all of this. That was the very first thing I said to my mum and dad when they walked into the ward I was on in hospital in Portugal. Because, you know, I thought I'd done something stupid. I thought I'd done something bad. I thought I'd, you know, probably ruined. I remember lying on the beach looking up at my friends when they were driving out the water, and I apologised to them because I thought I'd ruined their holiday. You know, it's just those reminders. It kind of works very differently in those moments. And and again, you know, it's taken time. It's taken a lot of huge life-changing moments along the way for me to really change. You know, I guess my term of acceptance took, I think, 13 months from the moment of the accident to the moment I returned to school again. And it's just moments. It's patience. It's time. It's kind of resilience, determination. All these things I'd never been before in my life.
Yeah. If you'd like to put a question directly to Henry tonight, you know what you need to do, all right? So pop your question on whatever channel you're watching, whether it's on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. And a member of our fabulous volunteer online studio team will pick it up. So Henry, before we natter some more, we've got one of our famous quickfire rounds, allowing our audience, right, to get to know our guests just a little bit better. So you ready?
Yep.
Okay.
I hope.
Most used emoji on your smartphone?
Oh, I guess the monkey covering his eyes.
The monkey covering his eyes.
Yeah, I say a lot of stuff I regret.
Marmite, love it or loathe it?
I think I'm one of these rare people that's quite indifferent towards Marmite, to be honest.
Okay.
I'm very on the fence with that, to be honest, Michael.
That's fine. One tune that puts Henry in a great mood?
Oh my goodness. Mumford & Son, The Cave.
Leicester Tigers, Harlequins, or Saracens?
See, I mean, I'm saying Leicester Tigers. People think I'm Saracens, but I've always been Tigers fan my whole life. Controversial in this family, I know, but
one item that you take to a desert island?
My easel. Wait, does that include paints and stuff, or is it just easel?
Go on, we'll throw paints in as well.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay. Good.
And you might need a paintbrush as well. We'll come on to that. Bamboo, plastic, or electric toothbrush, Henry?
Electric.
So you're the PM for 24 hours. One change that you'd make today?
Okay. Oh my goodness. Fund disabled people the way they deserve to be funded, so that they're able to contribute, live their lives properly, and contribute to society and be part of this world. Small basic right we all thoroughly deserve.
Great answer. If you could speak one language fluently, what would it be?
Spanish, and I'm trying to do it, but I'm failing pretty badly, to be honest.
Which country made history by qualifying for the 2023 Rugby World Cup?
Wow. Chile?
Not far. Uruguay. So they did a 34-15 victory over the USA, which sees them actually join New Zealand, France, and Italy in Pool A. But anyway. And finally, first career that you dreamed of having as a kid?
An architect.
Okay. Great stuff, Henry. So listen, since that moment in time in Portugal that changed your life forever, when you stop and you reflect and you look back, is there maybe one moment that stands out for you? And can you share that with us?
I mean, I guess there are two kind of real huge moments in my life since the accident. The first was the day I was put into a wheelchair for the first time. I'd spent pretty much 2 months in bed. The only movement I'd done was being moved from one ward to the next. That was all I was allowed to do, I was able to do at the time. And the day I was put in, I was able to go in hospital, see all the bits everyone was talking about, the places they mentioned. I was able to kind of really visualize what everyone had been saying. I hadn't seen it all at all. I was able to finally go outside and feel a bit of the late summer sun on my face. It was amazing. It was stunning. It was thrilling. It was all kinds of great highs. And then we're about to come back through the main entrance, 2 big glass doors. And the first time in 2 months I'd seen my reflection. Last time I saw myself, it was the same thing my brothers had seen, my friends had seen.
Yeah.
But now I'm seeing myself 2 months down the line, and I was 4 stone lighter. I was just razor thin. My kind of clothes that were kind of well fitted forward just hanging off me. Couldn't still, had the tracheotomy in my throat, couldn't breathe independently. big headrest. I couldn't even support my own head at the time. Big armrest, this big chair, and suddenly, kind of the world just fell away in that moment. The reality of how the rest of my life would be was in that reflection. And the moment I got back to the ward, got my mum to pull the curtain around my bed, and I just lost it. I broke. First time I'd really broken at that time, because of knowing, how my life would be. And, I just sobbed. My mum was hugging me. I was just crying to my mum's shoulder, just wanting to be able to hug my mum, and I couldn't even do that. And that obviously made things a million times worse. And I was just there, and my brothers came to see me. I cried. Dad came to see me. I was crying. Dad was always the last one to leave, and even after he left, I was still just crying. I was on some pretty heavy sleeping tablets at the time. They couldn't even send me off to sleep that night, and I was just staring up at the ceiling. And I think I probably was just all cried out. All my fears and hopelessness had been released through my tears in that moment. Tears tell the truth. And it was at that point I was just thought to myself, there's no point me feeling this way. There's no point me being sad or angry. I've got no one to blame for what's happened. I may as well just get on with it. And that day I was able to kind of switch my mindset into, again, it wasn't an immediate thing. It took stage by stage. I was able to kind of focus a bit differently on what I was doing. I was able to think a bit more kind of like, hey, I want to go to hospital. I want to go home. What do I need to do that? Focus on those things. Day by day, minute by minute, literally just moment by moment. And that's something that now I've carried through the rest of my life, these kind of little tiny moments each day, tiny progress, tiny goals, achievable goals, all these things that in that moment I learned a lot. The other huge moment for me was the day I gave my first ever public talk. I was asked, just 6 months earlier, I joined Saracens working in their communications department for kind of 3 days a week. The CEO at the time had asked me if I'd thought about sharing my story, and I had at the time. But because it's public speaking, I hadn't done anything about it. It was a nice kind of thought in my head that might be something I'd do in the future. At that point, they really encouraged me to do it, and I'd written kind of my first 6 months experience on my website, day of the accident, the moment I left hospital. So I sat down with a psychologist at Saracens at the time. We took everything off the website, crossed out all the waffle bits that made no sense to anyone. And we produced this talk, and he was just kind of getting me to think about the messages I'd like to get out of it and really push me to do that. And it's fantastic. And I remember agreeing to the talk 6 months down the line. And I thought in my head, I only agreed because I thought this is never going to happen. Miles down the line, something surely is going to come in. I'll be fine. I won't have to do it. Till the week before, when suddenly I realized, oh crap, this is I'm actually going to have to do this. And that was when reality kicked in. And that week I was probably pretty rude to people in the house. Probably wasn't a particularly nice person to be around. I was just all about the talk in my head, not thinking about anything else. Trying to memorize a half-hour talk off the bat, which I didn't need to. I had the whole thing on a laptop next to me. Someone's helping me scroll through. And even before the talk, my teeth were chattering. I was all over the shop. The moment I got into it, I said some nice rhythm. But the moment I finished, I had this huge, huge kind of moment of almost like adrenaline. This relief, this adrenaline, these emotions I'd never felt before. And I think it was a lot of, in my head, thinking about all the times I got out of public speaking that I didn't want to do it. That even during my GCSE English, part of it is you have to get up and give a speech in front of class and be marked for it. And my fear of public speaking was so bad that whole week I sat in class ducking and diving, avoiding the teacher's eye, not getting out of it basically until it came to the Friday. And I knew I'd have to step up and do it. Luckily, the weekend before, I was in a rugby match, had my face kicked in pretty bad. I was kind of battered and bruised and cut and all these things. And on that day, I feigned this delayed concussion. So I went in the medical centre in the school and skipped the lesson basically. And I had to make it look good, so I skipped the following one. So it was bad. That's how much I hated public speaking. The moment I completed that one at Saracens, my first ever talk, I suddenly thought, wow, this is amazing. This is a feeling I've never felt before. I loved it. It's incredible. the public speaking is what's given me this confidence I never knew I had. It's given me opportunities I never even dreamed of. Without that, I never would have done the book. I never would have done the second book. I never would have done all the countless things that have come off the back of those things. And it would have been so easy for me to say no in that time, to just count it off. Because I took this mindset of just going for it and trying it. I wasn't expecting anything off it. I was just, the only thing I was thinking of was that moment, that half-hour talk, and nothing else. Nothing beyond, nothing before.
Yeah.
Being there, enjoying that. And if it didn't go well, then fine. I knew it wasn't going to work. And if it worked well, great. I've got something new in my life that I can try.
Keep engaging hearts and minds, Henry. You do it so well. Something that struck me, what you just said a little while ago, gave me an idea for your next painting, which is Tears Tell the Truth.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'd like to wind the clock. I'd like to wind the clock forwards. In fact, just before I wind the clock forwards, I'm going to jump into our chat room and say good evening to some of those that are tuning in from different parts of the planet. My goodness me, we have Nadia from New Zealand. Nadia, great for you to join us. And David, lovely to see you as well. Message from Anna. Great to see you, H. Nadia's reading your book, Henry, saying amazing and inspiring in the adversity of tragedy. David made a comment about, what a superb comment about brotherly love, fraternal love. And Michael, good evening to you. Says Henry Fraser, I've read both of your books, and I have to say an amazing inspiration. Resilience, confidence, and will to succeed is a lesson for all of us, for sure. Ruth, good evening to you. Just made two words, really, Ruth. Amazing family. Absolutely. I think the strength within your family, the love and the encouragement and the support from your brothers, from your parents, from your nearest and dearest is clear for all to hear, right? And question for David, actually, Henry, how do you make every day a good day? We're trying to keep the answer to this reasonably short, please. We've got a lot to get through.
For me, I mean, it's the title of the first book, The Little Big Things. It's about kind of reducing joy down to the most minute, what most people might think is the most mundane of moments, can be full of joy. Just having a cup of tea, a few pages of a good book, half an hour of a good show. It's about really being present in that moment and enjoying it. And, one thing I'd say to people at the end, when I do things like this, is that, these joys surround us every day. They're abundant in our lives each and every day. But because they're so abundant, we just become numb to them. We don't feel them anymore. But if you're aware of them, you recognize them, suddenly realize joy is all around us.
Yeah.
And negative moments are so few and far between. That's why they affect us badly. And, when you recognize joy, suddenly the negative moments don't hit as hard, and every day does become a good day.
There's another one right there. Every day becomes a good day. So in terms of winding the clock forwards, to that time when perhaps you realized that the gift of drawing and painting was within you, right? How did that come about?
So one of the consequences of a spinal cord injury with, many similar situations anyway, is sores are a problem. Blood flow, constant contact with chairs, beds, whatever.
Yep.
And I had a sore on my back start January 2015. So I was stuck in bed for a few weeks. A lot of time spent on my sides. The more times I was able to sit up. Still had to keep the pressure off my back, but would put some pillows on my lap, put my iPad on top of that, and I control an iPad the same way I paint. Stylus on the end of it, of a mouse stick, touch the screen. So I found a very, very basic drawing app on my iPad and just started drawing through boredom more than anything else.
Yeah.
And I loved it. And I shared them on social media. The response was amazing and very encouraging. Gave me the confidence to continue. And then I was able to get out of bed. I started with actual pencils. And then after that, just started painting. And, I love it. It's my easel's my comfort zone. My public speaking's every now and then, to step out of the comfort zone to push myself, challenge myself in completely different ways. But I can land back at my easel again and shut myself from the world and be in my own little world.
I'm fascinated by how you hold the paintbrush in your mouth, or whether teeth are involved, because my father was a dentist. So I was curious to know how the whole kind of mouth holding paintbrush in mouth, how that works.
So it's got a little V shape on the end with 2 rubber sleeves, and you do have to grip it. You just kind of find your way of having it feel comfortable. Find your own little ways to rest with holding it, and all these things along the way. Teeth can become an issue, to be honest.
Yeah.
I do have to wear a retainer on my bottom teeth, because that middle blue bar can just sit in the middle ones, and if I'm spending kind of 3 hours holding it in my mouth, it's not great. Especially when I first started, I was doing kind of every day of the week painting.
Yes.
Now I reduced my time a lot. Even the way I'm on my iPad a lot, same thing with the mouth stick. So I have to work out my time and keep on top of these things as well. It's just one of the things I had to add to my list to keep an eye on in my life, I guess.
Quality, not quantity, right?
Yeah,
I get it. And there's this next image that I want to pop up. I've had a really good browse through your website of these paintings that we're seeing on screen, and discover the joy that obviously many people are deriving from your work. So, of these images, which one took the longest, and why?
Oh, the crocodile by a long way. The more I was doing it, the more I realized actually how much detail there is.
Yes.
I mean, when you look around the teeth, it just took me ages, really a long time. I mean, I think it's one of my favorite ones I've done. It's not one of people's, nowhere near one of the most popular ones with other people, but there's something about it I love. Something about it I really enjoyed at the end. I think the challenge it kind of posed me, something new. But yeah, it was one I really love. I mean, the penguin as well I enjoyed. The crocodile was fun because it was obviously not the colours. It was kind of an abstract version of what a crocodile is. But the penguin was fun because it was actual trying to, I guess, get some realism into it, trying to challenge myself that way. So yeah, I keep trying to, do things to keep my mind busy, to keep on pushing myself, challenging what I can do, and seeing where it takes me.
I'm glad you said the penguin, because we're going to come on to that one in a second. But no doubt that those that do discover your work, we all have favourites, right? And I know, for example, that the Lord Lieutenant of Hertfordshire, Robert Voss, who, by the way, sends his very warmest wishes to you, Henry. I know he has one of your masterpieces, and I believe it's the "Every Day is a Good Day" painting, right?
Yeah.
I've got to say that my favourite, which you touched on a second or two ago, by a country mile, Henry, I've got to say, is this magnificent specimen, which I think you've captured it magnificently, right? Superbly. It's the king penguin. And when I first saw that, I was blinded by the colours, which are just, so incredibly vibrant. And I keep looking back at it. I keep making little hints to various people. So, think Happy Feet and you're there, right? So what was the inspiration behind it? So I'd love to know, purely for selfish motivation, how long it took to paint.
But I mean, I've always loved penguins. I mean, everyone loves penguins. They're kind of funny, mad little things, but then also, when they hit water, they're incredibly graceful. There's this weird mix of all these different things they are, but they're brilliant, and I've always loved them. My parents, years and years ago, bought these papier-mâché penguins, 2 adult ones for 4 children. And this was actually before my younger brother was even born. I think it was just after they had me, so before he's even a thought.
Yeah.
And so I've been surrounded by those things. I saw them on the floor, and I kept looking at them, thinking it'd be quite fun to do a penguin. So I went for it, and I chose the king one because I wanted to get that kind of, I guess, that stance, that I guess, that almost regal pose to it.
Yep. Yeah.
And also
So-
the chest, the colours on the chest, it has that kind of golden
Yeah.
yellow shimmer.
Yeah.
And it was just fun. The more I get into it, the bit. I mean, my favourite part of it for me is the beak.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I think it's the most realistic thing I've ever painted. But it's one of the, I mean, to be honest, I don't really see these images very often because normally I paint it, get it scanned, shove it in an envelope, and hide it away in a drawer. So when I see these things, suddenly I see something different in it. And no. So it was a fun one. I think it was a few long days in a row. Actually, this one, because I think it was one that once I was into it, I could just sit for hours at a time, just enjoying it and feeling it. And it was a fun one to do.
So for those who'd like to learn more about Henry's obvious passion for drawing and painting, a gift that's enabled him to discover a purpose, right? That gives so much joy to so many people. I urge you all to head on over to his website at henryfraserart.com/art, and you'll just check out and enjoy. Just jumping back into the chat room, Nadia says, and I've ordered some artwork from you too. Great stuff, Nadia. There you go.
Thank you very much.
You got a fan right there. And Karen, good evening to you. Thank you for your comment. That's fantastic. But listen, when you go to Henry's website, you're going to discover a wide variety of limited edition prints and original paintings, okay? Like the stunning King Penguin. So perfect timing maybe for that special Christmas gift maybe. And, hopefully my wife has already had a conversation with a man up at the North Pole. Anyway, moving on. Henry, your Twitter profile mentions that over and above being a mouth artist, you're also an author and speaker. We've touched on that. So from The Little Big Things, which I believe was a Sunday Times bestseller, right? It's an extraordinary read. I really enjoyed it. I'm sorry, but I'm one of those people, when I read a book, I have a pen and I just scribble over it and I circle things and I dog-ear the corners of the pages and so on, to remember those little things that help to carry us all forward, right? But my standout quote from The Little Big Things, if you'll indulge me for a second, was simply this, where you said, being challenged in life is inevitable, but being defeated is optional.
Yeah, it was I mean, I guess it's one of those things that I guess kind of almost sums up. Well, I mean, life for all of us. These challenges. When I say being challenged in life, it doesn't have to be a big challenge. It doesn't have to be a life-changing challenge. It doesn't have to be diving in the water and being paralysed from shoulders down. We have challenges in our lives, big or small, but it's how we react to them is the important thing. It's about accepting those moments and then adapting to that, whether it's kind of dealing with the issue head on or taking time to process it, adapt to whatever comes our way. And it's it's something that I guess we kind of have to do in all our lives.
For sure. I've got to ask Henry, 2 books down, right? Is this by any chance part of a trilogy? Do we have a breaking news announcement tonight?
I'd love to say yes, but unfortunately no at the moment. Well, I say unfortunately no, very happily. I mean, I said I'd never do a second book after the first one. So after the second one, I said I'd never do a third. But, like I said, I keep my options open. I'm not agreeing to anything right now. I don't want my hands tied, but yeah.
Good stuff. Well, they're both certainly the first book I've read. The second book I'm looking forward to very much. Henry, I've got to ask with a slight gear change now. So, Henry, where's your? I think you've already answered this question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Where's your happy place?
Yeah, I mean, probably got a few. My main, I guess, the big one for me is my easel. It's when I was young, I always remember before my younger brother was born, my older 2 brothers were always outside playing in the garden, kind of rough and tumble with each other, doing things they do, and I was always inside most of the time playing with my Lego, my Duplo, by myself, building stuff out of paper, card, all these things. And I think my easel is that place for me still. It's my space, it's my time. It's my own. It's just me and my way of thinking. Me being creative.
Yeah.
And I love that. And but the other place is sitting in front of the TV, watching something I've watched a million times before, or again just that with a cup of tea, and I'm done. I'm more than happy.
Excellent.
If I could just have those moments for the rest of my life, then yeah, I'm done.
Very good. Very good. Moving on to movies. Come on then, let's talk briefly about the flicks. A couple of your favourite movies?
Well, yeah, Sin City, Whiplash, two big ones for me. I mean, very, very different films in themselves, which I think I love. Sin City, very creative.
Yeah.
I guess, I've always loved comic books. I've always loved that kind of thing, and having that kind of graphic novel in film style with these different stories that have their own interconnecting ways was fun. You kind of don't expect it, and yeah, just thought the way it was shot was beautiful. And Whiplash, just a complete roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah.
You never know where you stand with it. Twists and turns the whole way. I mean, I guess in a weird way, it's a kind of odd metaphor for life. When you think it's going well, suddenly gear changes, and they have to adapt. They have to change.
Mm.
You get to know some people in ways you never thought possible, and that was fun. And it's just a great film, and the music is next level as well.
I think that, I'm a great believer in serendipity, right? And the laws of attraction, the power of the universe. And in Whiplash, the thread that knits it all together is the ability, it's focused on the drumming and the drummer, right?
Mm.
And just remember that, because I'm going to come on to something towards the back end of the show. And I'm just looking at the watch now. We're about 10 minutes out, which is extraordinary. This conversation is whizzed along. So Henry, I've got to go again for our second quick fire round. Are you ready for this?
Yep.
So Henry, if someone was to play you in a movie, who would you want it to be?
I mean, I've actually something that friends and other people have asked, because they think it's a possibility. It's never going to happen. But Tom Hardy, I mean, come on.
Okay.
Can you not see him? I mean, twins, basically, really, aren't we?
I'm.
Don't laugh too hard, Michael. Come on.
I think he'd do you a great service. I'm no doubt about it. Tonight's dinner, who cooked it for you, Henry?
Mum.
So we're going to have a shout out to your mum, right?
Yeah.
So fantastic. And
big shout out.
Excellent. Big shout out to your mum. What's your mum's name?
Francesca.
Hello, Francesca. Good evening to you. What's Henry's food heaven?
Pretty much anything with rice or roast potatoes.
Okay.
Or, I'm a man of simple pleasures. Michael, that's it. I'm done.
Good stuff. Now, I happen to know that eating is a big part of your family's life, or it's something you've described nicely in the book, beautifully in the book, and it's actually a big part of many families' lives right now. And that your mum is obviously the star of the culinary show in your home, right? With her, I don't know, special Greek style roast potatoes and salad. True or false?
Oh, true. Yeah, jeez.
Right answer. And if you sticking with the foodie theme, in terms of Sunday roasts, is your favorite, is it A, roast beef, B, roast chicken, C, roast pork, or D, roast lamb? Do you have a preference?
Well, I mean, it was always roast chicken, but I've recently switched to a vegetarian way of life.
Yeah, good.
Which, when you've got a Greek Mediterranean mum, is taking a while to get used to.
And for you, Henry, in terms of jacket potato fillings, is it A, baked beans and bacon, B, baked beans and grated cheese, or C, baked beans and pureed salmon?
Oh, beans and cheese.
Beans and cheese.
Beans and cheese, yeah. It's a classic.
So the quintessential British pudding. For Henry, is it A, apple crumble? Is it B, rhubarb crumble? Or is it C, blackberry and blueberry crumble?
Apple. Yeah.
And finally, best bit of advice you'd give your younger self?
ask for help. Don't try and take on the world by yourself. It's never going to happen. It's never going to end well.
Ask for help. Wise words. So since that moment in time in Portugal that changed your life forever, when you stop and reflect and you look back, is there one brief moment that stands out?
I don't know. For me, I don't know. Maybe the day I left hospital.
Yeah.
It was when I went up to the acute ward. I was told I'd most likely be there for 18 months from that moment. And along the way, I worked harder than I've ever worked before, physically, mentally, to push and challenge myself, push and challenge staff in the hospital to show, I guess, what can be done, rather than living a life of being told everything you can't do. Telling them, I can still do this. Why can't we try this? Why can't we push that? And what was meant to be an 18 month stay in hospital was a 6 month lie by. In the moment, the day I left, I actually physically wheeled myself out of the hospital. Something I'd wanted to do, but I was told I'd never be able to do. And I'd never really pushed back with anything in my life. I'd always been one to just line up and get on with things. I'd never challenged myself in that way. And I guess it was just a lot in that moment for me. And the moment I got in the car to come home after that, just sitting in the car with my brother on the way home, I just broke and just started to cry. And I still can't put my fingers on as to why I did. I wasn't sad. There weren't tears of joy. It was just a release. And I guess it was that build up of everything. And it was a big moment in my life, knowing that I was back out in the real world again.
Who makes Henry Fraser laugh out loud?
Only TV shows. I'm not going to tell any of my brothers or friends. I'm not going to give them any of the satisfaction that they want from this.
I'm going to dive back into the chat room. Isabel, she said, thanks for your message. Collecting Henry's clownfish from my local frame shop tomorrow. Wonderful. And David says, this has been such an inspiring hour. We're not quite yet there on the hour, David, but thank you for your comment. It's very kind. Final question, really, to close off tonight's show, Henry. You've been a truly wonderful guest, and thank you so much. If there was one thing that we can all do to perhaps make the world a slightly better place, what, in your view, would that be?
I guess, one thing I'd say is, to not judge, have immediate assumptions about anyone. Lots of people have immediate, the moment they see someone in a wheelchair, it's straight kind of immediate assumptions go flying through one's head as to kind of what they can't do, or what do they do for that, or what's wrong with them. Nothing wrong. They just live a life in a very different way. And it goes the same when you see anyone. We're so quick to judge rather than you get to know someone's life, you get to know who they are, you get to know why they, just who they are as a person. And, you get to know people in a very different way. And I mean, that's one thing I've learned a lot, is to just talk to people and understand people in a way that, that I probably never did before my accident. And life's far richer, far more enjoyable for it.
I'm going to jump back into the chat room. Henry Martinez says, thank you so much for this. Henry, you are amazing. Happy Christmas to you. And Isabel says, thank you so much. That's great. Huge thanks, Henry Fraser, for being our guest tonight. Here's my best muscle warrior salute from me to you, Henry. For those that don't know, it's a visible symbol of hope, courage, strength, joy, and unity for all those with muscular dystrophy. As always, if you've enjoyed tonight's show, and if you can, please do make a donation, as every penny counts. Now, tonight, ladies and gents, I'd also like to shine a spotlight on the two charities that Henry directly supports, both incredibly worthy causes, the UK Stem Cell Foundation and also the Matt Hampson Foundation. If you would like to make a donation to either of those two causes, I'm sure that Henry would be delighted, and thank you so much. And Henry, as is the custom, and knowing that you've met some interesting folks along the way, if perhaps you know someone, you want to have a think about it, you know someone whom you think might be a great next In Conversation with guest for an episode in Series 3 that kicks off, as I mentioned earlier, in March 2022 next year, please do let us know. So here we go. Breaking news. Drum roll. So here's the ironic bit, okay, the coincidental bit. We're back for the final show of the year. It's going to be a cracker. No Christmas pun intended. Takes place on Wednesday, the 22nd of December, for what will be episode 20. There's the diary date alert. We go live at the slightly earlier time of 7 p.m. And in this last conversation of 2021, we're calling it the Bertie and Ali K Christmas Show. You see, Bertie and his mum Ali are already fully fledged members of our charity's Muscle Warrior tribe. So this show is going to be particularly special as we chat about all things Christmas. So from the Polar Express and Jack Black and hot chocolate with marshmallows and Peter Kay to Brussels sprouts, parsnips, Christmas puddings, the North Pole, the perfect Christmas cracker, and Christmas songs as we all love them or we loathe them, or indeed happy feet. Do you know what? It's going to be a lot of fun with much frivolity. Who knows? Christmas jumpers may be worn. Plus, you know what? It's an opportunity to raise some funds. So yes, it's a festive funder too, helping the charity push on with its virtual muscle dream efforts. So there's also going to be a world exclusive. So let's hear the drum roll. Imagine the drum roll, right? And rather ironically, we're going to be highlighting Bertie's drumming skills. You heard it here first. I'm not saying any more than that. Suffice to say that this particular episode is not to be missed. So please do tune in on Wednesday, the 22nd of December. There's the diary date alert. We go live at 7 p.m. Once again, on behalf of the Muscle Health Foundation charity, our thanks to tonight's wonderful guest, to Henry Fraser, and to our StreamYard volunteer studio team, to Kate, to Jason, and of course, to tonight's studio lead, to Nick, for once again making it all happen behind the scenes. You guys rock. For now, have a great rest of the week. Bye-bye.
Bye.